Hello everybody, welcome back. I think we're going to continue on with the airplane. I was messing around. I think I figured out what we're going to do at the front. I'm going to make a piece kind of like this, and I'll make it with you for you don't have to make it alone, but I was going to figure it out first. Usually I wouldn't do that, but this is a pretty complex piece, so do it together and shape it right. Alright, so first off we will make a cylinder. And this is going to be one of the hardest pieces we're going to have to make, so don't stress too much. This is the hard one. But we got to set up somewhere to put our controls, basically, if you're going to have that going on in your airplane. Could be up to you, obviously. I'll just stretch the whole thing a bit. I just try to get close to the height, as close as you can. Jam a little under. Should be about right now, though. Perfect. And then we'll go this way. We're basically going to mimic the shape that we have here. Maybe we'll just... no, we'll do it this way, actually. And you'll see the edges getting close. Once you're pretty much close. It doesn't have to be perfect exactly what the other one is. Just basically, ish. For we can use the shape to make our dash. Like that, make sure your sides are okay. So I just hit S a little bit, just make sure that you're not covering over the sides, 'cause it's going to give a weird look. Something like that. Looks pretty good to me. Then we'll Shift A again, we'll pull up a cube. Okay. And we'll just slide that sucker up there. Like that. S to grow it. Okay. I'm going to stretch it this way now. And we're just going to go a little wider to make sure we're taking that piece out on the sides. And you can see it's not quite in place either, but we just want to leave just a little bit of it. Something like that. And move it around a little bit. You might have to do the cut a few times to make sure you're leaving the shape you want. It looks like we're having an issue. It's not as tall as the other piece. Still looks like it's out of place. Let me just adjust that. And just make sure you're taking the whole thing out on the bottom. You don't want a weird lip sticking out there. So now that we got it, just go ahead and bool it. Difference. And I did that exactly backwards. So I must have clicked the wrong order of parts. Should be this one, then that one. Unless I got something else. There we go. Better. Okay, so obviously this piece is a little big, so let's just shape it up a little bit. Something like that. It's just about right. I'm just going to bump it up into place where you can see it a little bit better where it's going to be. Something like that. Try to do it quickly for you guys don't have to wait for me. It looks like our edges are just a hair over. So we're just going to bump them in like that, just for we don't have any weird overhanged edges. Right, grab this piece, go into edit mode. I'm just going to grab this one edge. I'm going to Control B. Okay, so this is going to be our panel, so you're going to want to make it as big as you're going to want your panel to be, of dials and things like that. That's how big I want mine to be. You take your time, make sure that's what you want. Pause the video if you have to do it a few times. Get the shape you need. That's going to work for me. So next, I'm going to make a little bit of foot room because I'm going to slide his pedals basically underneath that part. So I'm just going to get out of edit mode with tab, Shift A, and we're going to pull a cube up and then slide it right forward. And you're going to punch this out. Just try to... oh great, I lost it. There we go. Get it kind of the right shape. It was a little too small there. Something like this. And something like this. And then we'll slide it in a little bit. Maybe to there. Maybe that's too far actually. But there. go ahead and go to your pool tool and difference. Alright, well, that's basically the shape I want. I just wanted to put a spot, put some pedals basically. Because it'll be not so much like a car, and they'll be kind of coming out of the floor here, so we should be able to put a gas and maybe some rudder pedals and a brake, I'd imagine. I'm not sure if planes have brakes, but well, I know they have brakes, but I don't know if they're conventional like that. I don't know exactly how they work. There might be a flap, might be a switch. We'll get back into that later. I'll go have a look or something. We'll just make the basic controls for now. So we have our panel. So let's go ahead and make a seat maybe. And again, this is going to be up to you how you want to do this, but I'm going to do it semi-simple. It's an older plane, so chances are the seat would be fairly simple. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. You do you if you disagree. Hit A to grab the whole thing. I didn't mean to let go of it. I'm just going to unselect the bottom. I'm going to go to edges, and I'm going to just click these edges. So everything else is selected, and it's just going to keep our bottom from rounding at all. And add a few segments. Okay. Try to get a chair type shape that you want, and that'll do it. So we can make a base for it, or we could just make this the base itself. I think it's easier to just make this the base itself. So let's just Shift D it, and we'll boost it up and back, something like that. And we'll use this as the back half of our chair. We'll just kind of put it in position. Again, we're just making a really simple chair because it's a really old plane, so they wouldn't have that complicated of a chair. And I just take it in a little bit side to side and spend a little bit of time working on the edges after, maybe. Just cleaning them up and make sure it looks pretty good. Just where we hide our edges inside of the other side of it. Something like that. Maybe bring it up a little bit, look a little bit better, a little cleaner. Okay, let's join those two together. Control J. Now it's one. Now we have our chair. Now we just got to size our chair for it makes a little bit more sense, right? Maybe move it up a bit. Oops. Keep it on its axis, of course. Something like this. Maybe we'll size it up just a hair. Something like that. It's a little more human-sized chair. Maybe you want a bit bigger. Keeping in mind that's going to be your overhead. And maybe you may need to rebuild some of these things and adjust them to make your heights work and all that, but I think we got the basic look we need. Got our chair in now. I'll look at the controls a little bit more before we do the rest of them. But quickly, I don't know if you want to actually mount these, literally mount them on if you want to make a mounting system, and I was just thinking about how to do that as well. I figured I'd quickly throw this in. So we'll just make a cylinder. Alright, and if you're working hard on your game, guys, you should take a break and go check out Fishton, Town to Remember, game that I got on Steam. It's a nice game to break with and just have a little relax. I thought I'd throw that in there. Alright, so now that's the right angle. We're going to copy this first. It's going to be a real simple mounting system, but again, it's a really simple plane, so it kind of makes sense to what we need and what we're looking for. Shrink that down. Shrink it down, shrink it down. Okay. And something like that. It's going to be a little hard to see, so move yourself around if you need to. The smaller it is, the harder it's going to be to work on. You might want to make it big and then shrink it after. Something like this. Then we'll shrink this one even more. I Shift D it to get a second one. And we're just going to use this one to drive a hole through that one, basically. Okay. So we're going to grab the middle one, and then the outside one. And then Object and Bool. Let's have a little look. Make sure it's what we want. Looks great. Perfect. Okay. So you can either put a little piece of a square maybe out to this to make your mount reach. Okay, something like that. But we'll do this first. Oops. So this is going to be the pin that we run through it to hold it all together, basically. And I think you can kind of get where I'm going with this, but kind of just got to do it one step at a time here. And we'll probably have to adjust the size a little bit here and there, but let's just kind of put it in. And run it through most of the way. And you're going to have to do this for each one, obviously. I'm going to have to shrink it a little bit more, something like that. And it's going to be a little bit of moving around until you figure it all out, but you'll get it. I believe in you. Alright, so that's pretty much hidden inside. That's what we need. Oops, sorry about that. That's what we need to do. I meant to hit S and I hit A. Is put it to the size that it literally fits inside of the other piece and the edges aren't sticking out, so we'll just have to keep stretching it. And then something like that. Looks like we're finally kind of getting in there. A little bit more still. Holy jeez, really small pen. Okay, you get the idea. I'm going to shrink this till it fits on that piece. Move it over. This is basically going to be what we use to hold it on either side. Once you got it in place, that looks like it's basically in place. Here's Shift D. Try to do it quickly so it might not be exact, but you get the idea. Put one on that side. Actually, let's wait to do that because we're going to do one more thing. Shift A. This should complete your mount basically for all pieces, and then you just got to copy it, move it around, and do all your pieces. Use the same mount to hold on all your flaps. Make your plane make a little bit more sense and probably look a little more technically like a plane. Something like that. Shrink her down. Stretch it out. Shrink her down. Okay, and we're just going to bridge that piece basically, okay? So we're just going to get into the edge of it. And then we're going to run it to the edge of your wing. So your wing flap supports your bracket, basically. It's be hard to see, so move right in there. Something like that. And we'll just stretch her out a little bit. Maybe about there. Okay, it looks like we're just in either side, so that looks pretty perfect to me. So instead of making each piece separate, we're just going to grab that one now, Control J, right? And then we can just Shift D and slide them all the way along the wing. And there's our mount for this side, okay? And then, when we want to do the next one, we'll grab this one, and we'll grab our middle pipe, and we'll Shift D, okay? Drag the, oh, you know what we could do, actually, let's be real clever about this. Yeah, let's just use this. Hopefully, as long as we're still in line, it'll perfectly put them there for us. So I just need to grab that one. What was it? The top one. I get forgetful, youngsters. I forget what I'm doing. Something like that. And something like this. And there we go. We have them exactly in the exact same spot over here now. And then for moving them down, it's obviously simple enough. And you're going to have to do your back wings too, but I thought I'd give you the examples of how we're going to do this. You could even make this into one piece if you really want to while you're moving it, but we'll just do it this way. Shift D. And we'll move it down here now, right? And once it's all perfectly in place like the other one was. Okay. Then we just do the same trick to get it on the other side. We can either make it in one piece by Control J, right? And then move the whole thing. Or we could do it the other way where we manually moved each piece. Oops, I didn't copy it first. Well, either way. Oh, I went too far too. Okay, yeah, let's redo that. Before we joined it. Okay, let's move it down. No, did we join it first? I think we joined it first. Did we join it first? No, I think that's still 3 pieces. I guess what I messed up on is we probably wanted to use the middle piece to be the main piece. And I thought we were, but not that one. That. Okay, let's just manually move them over, actually, just to make things simpler. So we'll just Shift D that. Oh, did I grab the whole thing there? No. Shift D this. Shift D that. And just if we want to keep it exact, we're probably going to want to do it this way and not join them, I guess, because it didn't want to move together once we did join it. Okay, but now we have all our flaps making more sense, basically. Which ones are we missing? So it should be this one, I think. Could be wrong, though. Yeah, oh, that's right. Once you're happy, you probably go ahead and join those to the wing, but maybe you want to wait because you may want to make some more bools. But we've got everything in place. We need to do these ones back here. So maybe for that one, we'll probably, let's do this. Let's be real clever again. Shift D. Okay. Shift D. Shift D on that one. No, oh boy, I grabbed the wrong one. And then we'll Shift D the whole thing and Control J. And then I'll try to zero this. Yeah, alright, perfect. I could put it right in the middle for us. Now it's perfectly aligned. Oops. I guess that doesn't matter too much because we're going to have to move it, but maybe if you want to do your first one here, then we just got to flip it on a 90 or take this 90 out. Yeah, that's even better. Alright. Then you just need to shrink it to the right size. And then you can use that for your first piece. Sorry, I think I bumped my mic a few times there. Just slide that into place. You might have to stretch certain pieces to make it reach the plane mounts. So how would we do that, you're wondering? We would go into edit mode. We'll grab this piece with L. Zoom in a little bit where you can see it. L. And we'll grab that top flap with L. Just make sure it's just that piece. And then we'll stretch those two out because those are going to be our mounts until it makes sense. And bump them on in. And it should work for all the pieces, right? They should all be the same, so unless you've changed them. Something like that. This one's a little bit buried, but I think it's okay. It looks pretty good. Might have to change the shape of it a little bit anyways. We've got to come out a little bit like that. Oh no, it'd be like in there. You know what, let's go back. I messed up again. Let's just adjust those back. Sorry about that, guys. It's gonna happen when I do this stuff live. I'm gonna make mistakes here and there. Just thinking about it wrong. Something like that. We just move it to the inside. The flaps are already the right size. Maybe a little bit outside like that, but we should be perfectly in size. S if you need to shrink it down a little bit. But again, I think it's pretty good. I have to go up and down a little bit again. Something like that for their sticking out, maybe. It's gonna do it anyways. That'll be good enough. We'll Shift D that. Just change that to a 90 again. That's the wrong one. And we'll do our other two, and we'll call this a video, and we'll come back and I'll have a look at the controls, and we'll get doing the controls next. But I thought I should throw this in for anybody who likes things to be built right and make sense. That way all the pieces are really there and everything. I just need to basically size them a little bit. Sorry, I was stretching it bigger. And down just a hair. And run her on in. Perfect. Something like that. That's a little long. Split different, shrink her down. Something like that. Shift D it. I shouldn't take too long demonstrating, so I'll just get moving here. Oh, that's definitely not right. Let's try that again. I just did that one, didn't I? There we go. So there we go. All of them done. All our flaps connected and true. Looking good too at the same time. May have to move them up and down a little bit here and there, but I feel like that's pretty much it. So they're all mounted. It all makes sense. We'll probably mount them up to our wings next time. We've got our seat. We've got the mount for our controls. So we just need to make our controls, and I think we're pretty much done. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing anything or if you think I should add more things. Just let me know. And thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and do all that fun stuff. Like.